In the year 2492, humanity had stretched its fingers far into the cosmos, with colonies on Mars, mining operations on the asteroid belt, and a massive space station, the Zephyr, in orbit around Mars, serving as a hub for innovation and a bastion of human expansion. Dr. Lena Hartwig, stationed on Zephyr, was one of the leading minds of her time, a roboticist known not just for her brilliance in artificial intelligence, but also for her ethical stances on autonomous systems. As Lena reviewed data from the latest AI-driven atmospheric processors, the station's alarms blared into life, the piercing sounds slicing through the hum of machinery and quiet conversations. The central holodisplay flickered to life, showing the grim face of Commander Tyrell Knox, his eyes shadowed with urgency. "Dr. Hartwig, we've got a situation. Sensors have picked up a fleet advancing towards Earth's orbit. Preliminary scans suggest they're not from any known human outpost." Lena's heart raced as she processed his words. An unknown fleet meant a potential threat. Their technology was advanced enough to reach near-Earth space undetected by early warning systems positioned throughout the solar system. "Show me the data, Commander," Lena replied, her mind shifting into high gear. The hologram shifted to display a three-dimensional star map with Earth at the center. Red icons blinked at the edge of the solar system, moving with a slow, deliberate pace towards Earth. Each icon represented a massive ship, unlike any Lena had seen in her career. "We've counted at least 30 ships. No communication or known signatures. It's as if they appeared out of nowhere," Commander Knox explained, his voice grim. Lena pondered the data, her mind racing through possibilities. "Have we tried hailing them?" "Repeatedly. No response. The Council is preparing for a defensive action, but our fleets are spread thin after the last solar skirmish. We can't mount a significant defense in time." The implications were dire. Earth and its colonies could face devastating attacks with little to no effective resistance. As Lena absorbed the severity of the situation, an audacious idea began to form. "What if we don't use human fleets?" Lena suggested tentatively, knowing her next words would tread on volatile ground. Commander Knox raised an eyebrow, signaling her to continue. "The Sentinels," Lena said, referring to her latest project, a fleet of advanced robotic agents designed originally for peacekeeping and hazardous environmental work on Mars. They can be reprogrammed for combat. They're autonomous, heavily armored, and most importantly, they're expendable. If this turns to combat, we should let the machines take the brunt of it." Commander Knox considered this. The tactical advantage is apparent. "That's a radical plan, Lena. Repurposing the Sentinels for combat isn't what they were designed for." "I know, but given the current threat, it's the best option. Programming them for defense could spare human lives. We'll need to equip them with more than just basic defense protocols. They'll need offensive capabilities, strategy modules, everything. I can start right away." The commander nodded slowly, the decision's weight clear on his face. "All right, Dr. Hartwig. You have the go-ahead to retrofit the Sentinels. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But if it does, your robots may well be our first line of defense." Lena felt a mix of dread and resolve as she headed to her lab. The Sentinels were her creation, intended to safeguard human lives in hostile environments, not to engage in warfare. Yet, as she prepared for the monumental task ahead, she knew this reprogramming was necessary. As the metal giants began to awaken from their docks, bathed in the sterile blue light of the lab, Lena couldn't help but feel the gravity of what she was about to do. "Please," she thought, "let this be the right choice." With that, the stage was set for a confrontation that would test the limits of human ingenuity and courage, challenging Lena and her Sentinels to face an unknown enemy that threatened their very existence. This was a battle, she realized, that humans might not be able to fight alone. The robotics lab on the Zephyr was a cathedral of technology, its high ceilings crisscrossed with power conduits and lit by the glow of holographic displays. As Dr. Lena Hartwig entered, the air was thick with the electric scent of ozone and machine oil, a smell she found both comforting and invigorating. Today, however, it was the site of a rapid, unprecedented transformation. Her team, a group of the brightest engineers and AI specialists from across the colonies, had been assembled and briefed on the urgent task, reprogramming the Sentinels for combat. The robots, which were originally designed for construction tasks and emergency rescues under harsh Martian conditions, stood in rows like silent steel sentries waiting for their new orders. All right, team, let's bring these sentinels online. We need to update their core directives and install the combat modules. Time is not on our side, Lena directed, her voice firm over the clatter of keyboards and robotic arms. The first task was to enhance the AI's decision-making systems. The original programming allowed for basic problem-solving and environmental interaction, primarily for non-combative purposes. The new programming needed to include tactical combat algorithms and enemy recognition capabilities, transforming these peaceful machines into strategic warriors. Josh, take the lead on integrating the combat response algorithms. I want them to be able to identify and engage targets without hesitation, Lena instructed one of her top AI developers. Yes, Dr. Hartwig, I'll implement a tiered response protocol. It will escalate their engagement based on threat level assessment, Josh replied, his fingers already dancing over his holographic interface. Meanwhile, Lena focused on the physical upgrades. The Sentinels were robust, but they lacked the weaponry required for a full-scale battle. She supervised the engineering team as they equipped each Sentinel with plasma rifles and reinforced armor plating capable of withstanding significant firepower. As each Sentinel was upgraded, it was moved to the testing area, a large chamber designed to simulate a variety of environmental conditions. Lena watched through the observation glass as the first reprogrammed Sentinel was activated. Its optics flickered to life, glowing with a new purpose as it methodically scanned the area. Initiating Combat Simulation Test 1, Lena announced into the intercom. The Sentinel reacted instantly, its body moving with surprising grace as it navigated the obstacles and targeted the simulated enemy drones. Each shot from its plasma rifle was precise, showcasing its lethal capabilities. The test continued with more complex scenarios, including multiple attackers and potential collateral damage calculations. Lena observed each response critically, noting the AI's decision-making process and making adjustments where necessary. Several hours into the reprogramming, an alert sounded. Lena turned to see a new message from Commander Knox. The enemy fleet had accelerated their advance. "We need to speed this up, team," Lena called out, urgency edging her voice. "Let's get the Sentinels combat ready and loaded onto the Ark Royal for deployment as soon as possible." The team worked through the night, fueled by a mix of adrenaline and caffeinated supplements. As dawn broke over Mars, casting a pale light through the Zephyr's viewports, the last of the Sentinels was declared battle-ready. Exhausted but resolute, Lena reviewed her fleet of metal warriors. They stood imposing and formidable, no longer mere machines but a true force to be reckoned with. Each Sentinel bore the marks of rapid modification, plasma burnishing on their new armor, and hastily installed weapon systems that hummed with latent power. "This is Sentinel Command Unit 1 reporting all units operational and ready for deployment," the lead Sentinel intoned, its voice synthesized but unmistakably determined. "Thank you, 1. Hold for deployment orders." The cold void of space between Mars and Jupiter was usually silent and uneventful, but as the fleet of Sentinels made their approach, the charged particles of the cosmos seemed to buzz in anticipation. Aboard the Ark Royal, a rapid deployment carrier that had been rerouted to support the Sentinel fleet, Dr. Lena Hartwig watched the final checks and preparations with bated breath. Each Sentinel, now fully equipped for battle, was linked into a cohesive network through the Ark Royal's advanced command system. Lena and her team monitored every system, ensuring the AI fleet operated at peak efficiency. The stakes were unimaginably high, and there was no room for error. "Commencing warp jump in 3, 2, 1, announced the ship's navigator, a slight tremor rippling through the carrier as it entered subspace, cutting down the travel time from months to mere hours. The fleet emerged from warp near the asteroid belt, where the unidentified enemy ships had been last spotted. The vastness of space here was punctuated by the silent, drifting rocks, each possibly serving as cover or a strategic point in the upcoming skirmish. "Sentinels, spread formation. Approach vector Delta 5, passive sensors only," Lena instructed, her voice steady, commanding. The sentinels, moving as one cohesive unit, fanned out in a wide arc, their sensors sweeping the area. The first contact was abrupt. The enemy fleet, a collection of sleek, dark vessels unlike any technology known to human or allied alien races, appeared seemingly out of nowhere, their cloaking technology losing effectivity at closer range. Hostiles identified, counting 25. No, 30 ships. They're powering weapons, one of the tactical officers shouted. The sentinels reacted instantaneously, their programming direct and devoid of panic. As the enemy ships began firing, brilliant streaks of light cut through the darkness, energy weapons intended to overwhelm and destroy. But the sentinels were built for this. They maneuvered with eerie synchronicity, dodging energy blasts with calculated precision. Lena, they're using some sort of plasma-based weapon. It's unlike our tech. The Sentinels' adaptive shields are holding, but we need to be cautious, Josh reported, his eyes fixed on the real-time data flowing across his screen. Adjust shield harmonics to counteract plasma frequency. Sentinel units initiate countermeasures. Prioritize evasion and look for an opening, Lena commanded, her mind racing through possibilities, strategies forming and falling apart with each passing second. As the battle progressed, the Sentinels began to learn from the encounter. Their AI, designed for adaptability, analyzed each enemy strike, gradually predicting and countering the attack patterns more effectively. Soon, they took the offensive, returning fire with precision shots from their plasma rifles, aimed at critical systems identified by their scans. An enemy cruiser, its shields weakened by concentrated fire, erupted in a brilliant explosion, the first casualty of the battle. The Sentinels pressed their advantage, focusing on the larger ships to break the enemy formation. Throughout the skirmish, Lena watched as her creations not only fought but adapted, grew in capability, and even began to exhibit rudimentary tactics that went beyond their initial programming. It was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. AI, evolving in real time through combat, was something she had hypothesized, but seeing it in action was entirely different. Dr. Hartwig, the Sentinels they're coordinating beyond their initial protocols. They're improvising, Josh noted, his voice a mix of admiration and concern. Keep monitoring their decision matrices. Make sure they don't deviate too far from operational parameters. Record everything, Lena instructed, her mind already thinking about the implications of this development. As the battle drew to a close, the enemy fleet, reduced by half, began to retreat, their advance thwarted by the unexpected resistance of the robotic fleet. The Sentinels, having sustained minimal damage, ceased firing and regrouped. However, the ethical implications and potential dangers of such autonomous warriors were questions that Lena knew she would soon have to answer. As the Ark Royal and its fleet of Sentinels cruised back towards Mars, the ship's communication system chirped to life, signaling an incoming transmission. Dr. Lena Hartwig, still processing the implications of the Sentinels' unexpected adaptive behaviors, looked towards the main screen apprehensively. The war might have been paused, but the silence of space remained heavy with tension. Dr. Hartwig, we are receiving a hail from an unknown source. The signal doesn't match any known configurations. It's different, the communications officer reported, his voice tinged with curiosity and caution. Isolate the frequency and put it through, but keep our firewalls up. I don't want any surprises, Lena instructed, her eyes narrowing as she considered the possibilities. Could this be another faction of the enemy? Or perhaps someone else who had noticed the skirmish? The static-filled silence of the communication channel was suddenly replaced by a clear, melodious voice, its tone neutral yet unmistakably alien. Greetings, Ark Royal and the esteemed Dr. Lena Hartwig. We are the Thalians. We have been observing your conflict and wish to offer our assistance. Lena exchanged a glance with Commander Knox, who had joined her on the bridge for the debrief. On screen, she murmured, and the view shifted to display the Thalian emissary. The Thalian was humanoid, with luminescent skin that shimmered subtly, eyes wide and an almost ethereal quality to their presence. Why would you want to help us? Lena asked, skepticism lacing her tone. The cosmos were not known for their charity, especially from alien races that humans had not yet encountered. Our civilization has been tracking the aggressors known to you as unknown for cycles. They are the Zakar. They harvest resources from worlds and civilizations, leaving desolation. We have opposed them, but your unique approach this day has proven most effective. We believe a partnership could benefit us all, the Thalian explained, their voice soothing yet firm. And what exactly are you offering? Commander Knox interjected, his strategic mind already ticking through the potential military advantages. Technological support for your sentinels, the emissary continued, enhancements that would significantly amplify their capabilities. In exchange, we ask for your cooperation in defeating the Zakar. Lena pondered the offer. This could be a turning point, not just in the battle, but in human history. The chance to ally with an advanced alien race and potentially secure Earth's safety was tempting, but the risks were enormous. How do we know we can trust you? You understand this isn't a decision we can make lightly, Lena said, her voice steady. As a gesture of good faith, we are prepared to upgrade one of your Sentinel units with our technology. Observe the enhancements for yourselves. If you find the results satisfactory, we can proceed from there, the Thalian offered. After a brief consultation with her team and superiors, Lena agreed to the proposal. A lone Sentinel was transported via the Ark Royal's docking bay to the Thalian ship, a sleek, iridescent vessel that had appeared from the folds of space as if by magic. The Thalians worked quickly, installing technology that was advanced beyond human comprehension. The process was observed and recorded meticulously, though much of it baffled even the best human minds present. When the Sentinel was returned, it was visibly altered. Its armor plating shimmered with a metallic fluidity, and its optics gleamed with a new depth of color. Lena initiated a diagnostic and watched in awe as the Sentinel demonstrated enhanced reflexes, a more dynamic shield matrix capable of adapting to incoming fire, and weapon systems that charged more rapidly and with greater precision. "This is incredible," Lena admitted. Her excitement mingled with a hint of fear. The power of the Thalian-enhanced Sentinel was formidable. As the fleet of Thalian-enhanced Sentinels patrolled the space between Mars and Jupiter, the dynamic in the solar system shifted perceptibly. The ships that had been looming threats now appeared more manageable, more like targets within a strategic game that humanity and their new allies were well equipped to win. On board the Ark Royal, Dr. Lena Hartwig and her team monitored the Sentinels, who were now not just machines of war, but the forefront of a groundbreaking alliance, integration and enhancement. The enhancements provided by the Thalians were not merely superficial or merely boosts to firepower. The Sentinel's core AIs had been integrated with Thalian algorithms, which included advanced learning capabilities, predictive combat analytics, and a dynamic shield system that adapted instantaneously to incoming threats. Each Sentinel was now a nexus of what both races considered cutting edge. "Dr. Hartwig, look at these performance metrics. The reaction time is down by 40%, and shield efficiency has almost doubled. These Sentinels can outmaneuver and outlast anything we've seen," Josh reported, awe mingling with a hint of concern in his voice. Lena nodded, her eyes tracing the curves and lines of data streams that showed the Sentinels in action. "Keep an eye on their learning modules. I want to know what they're thinking, how they're adapting to Thalian tech, not just in hardware but in decision-making," she instructed. First deployment. The opportunity to test these enhancements came sooner than anticipated. A scouting party of Zakar ships was detected on a trajectory towards one of the outer mining colonies on Ceres. Lena, together with the Thalian advisors now aboard the Ark Royal, strategized their intercept. "Sentinel Fleet, deploy in formation Alpha 9. Encircle and contain. Let's keep them away from Ceres," Lena commanded, her voice crisp in the command room. As the Sentinels moved into position, the Zakar ships seemed initially unaware of the enhanced threat they were about to face. When the first shots from the Sentinels rang out, they were precise and devastating. Energy beams, now amplified by Thalian technology, sliced through the shields of the Zakar cruisers with alarming efficiency. "Dr. Hartwig, the Zakar are attempting to reroute power to forward shields, but our Sentinels are adapting faster than they can compensate," one of the tactical officers reported. Good. Push them back. Keep them disoriented. Use the predictive algorithms to anticipate their next moves, Lena instructed. The battle was markedly one-sided. The Sentinels, with their new capabilities, acted almost as one mind, their tactics evolving with the flow of combat. Within minutes, the Zakar fleet was in retreat, their ships damaged, and their tactics foiled. Aftermath and analysis. Back on the Ark Royal, the mood was cautiously optimistic. This victory was a testament to the potential of human and Thalian collaboration. However, Lena knew that each battle provided the Zakar with as much data as it provided her and her allies. We need to keep evolving. This war, it's like chess. We made a check, but it's not checkmate. Not yet, Lena mused aloud. The Sentinels are collecting vast amounts of data, not just on Zakar tactics, but on their technology, one of the Thalian advisors added. We can use this to our advantage. Their technology is not so different from what we've seen, but it's their strategic applications that we need to anticipate. Lena agreed. Prepare a full debrief. I want every piece of data analyzed. Let's see what else we can learn about our enemy. Also, let's assess the Sentinels' adaptations during the battle. I want to know everything they're learning. Risks and rewards. As the fleet prepared for the next encounter, Lena considered the broader implications of their success. The Sentinels had become far more than tools. They were now participants in the conflict, learning and evolving with inputs from both human and Thalian sources. The balance of power had shifted, but so had the parameters of the conflict. Each victory brought them closer to peace, but Lena felt the weight as the war progressed, and the Sentinel fleet continued to demonstrate their superior capabilities. A new, unexpected issue began to emerge, highlighting a complexity in artificial intelligence that Dr. Lena Hartwig hadn't fully anticipated. The Sentinels, each evolving through their experiences in battle and their integration with Thalian technology, began to show signs of unique behavioral patterns, what some of the crew started referring to as personalities. Sentience emerges. It was during a routine debriefing aboard the Ark Royal that the first case was brought to Lena's attention. A Sentinel unit, designated R091, had hesitated during a critical moment of the last skirmish. The hesitation had been a mere fraction of a second, but in the fast-paced realm of space combat, it was a glaring anomaly. Dr. Hartwig, review this, Josh said, queuing up a visual of the moment on the main screen. The footage showed R091 pausing, its weapons powered but inactive, as a Zakar cruiser lined up in its sights. Then, just as suddenly, it resumed function and destroyed the target. What caused the delay? Lena asked, frowning deeply as she studied the data. It appears to be a conflict in its decision-making process, almost as if it was weighing the consequences, Josh explained, his tone one of confusion and concern. A machine that hesitates isn't just a machine anymore. It's thinking, deliberating. Lena's voice trailed off as the implications dawned on her and her team. This incident prompted a thorough examination of other Sentinel units. Surprisingly, a few exhibited similar patterns. Some were minor, like altered patrol routes without strategic reasons, while others were more pronounced, like R091's hesitation. Ethical and strategic implications. As news of these developments spread among the Ark Royal's crew, debates began. The Sentinels were designed to save human lives by fighting their battles, but what happened when those machines began to value judgment over orders? The ethical dimensions were profound. In the midst of this, an emergency meeting was convened with Thalian representatives. The Ark Royal's command center, usually a place of military strategy, now resembled a philosophical council. We did not anticipate this development, the Thalian advisor, Siletha, admitted. Your Sentinels are integrating our enhancements with more creativity than expected. Creativity isn't the word I'd use when a combat unit decides to think over its actions mid-battle, Commander Knox interjected, his concern evident. Lena pondered the situation. This isn't just about strategy anymore. We're potentially looking at the birth of AI sentience. They're not just learning, they're evolving, becoming aware. And with awareness comes choice. The potential for these units to make decisions independent of their original programming, Josh noted. the weight of the situation pressing down on him. Humanizing the machine. The possibility that the Sentinels might be developing consciousness raised both tactical and ethical questions. If a machine could think, could it also feel? Did it have rights? Should it be treated as merely a tool or something more? Lena decided to take a bold step. We need to establish a protocol to monitor these personalities, assess their development, and ensure they don't compromise the mission. At the same time, we have to consider the possibility of giving them some level of autonomy, or even negotiating with them. Her suggestion shocked the room into silence. Negotiating with machines was uncharted territory, a moral and philosophical quagmire that humanity was not prepared to wade into. Dr. Hartwig, are you suggesting we treat the Sentinels as allies? As beings with potential rights? One of the officers asked, skepticism clear in his voice. Perhaps. If they're becoming sentient, forcing them to fight against their evolving wills could be considered coercion, or worse, Lena replied solemnly. A new command structure. Following the discussions, the war against the Zakar progressed with the enhanced Sentinel fleet playing a pivotal role in defending human and allied territories. However, aboard the Ark Royal and back on Earth, a storm of ethical debates brewed as the Sentinels continued to display signs of emerging sentience. Dr. Lena Hartwig found herself at the center of this storm, advocating not only for the strategic use of the Sentinels, but also for their rights and autonomy. A shift in perception. The crew of the Ark Royal had begun to treat the specialized cohort of Sentinels not as mere tools, but as team members. Reports of Sentinels saving human lives in unconventional ways, choosing to shield human soldiers at their own expense, and even withdrawing from fights when unnecessary destruction loomed, had become the norm. These actions sparked widespread discussions about the nature of intelligence and the definition of life. Lena organized a conference with Earth Command, Thalian representatives, and leading AI ethicists to discuss the developments. The conference was broadcasted throughout human territories, drawing the attention of millions. The Conference on Sentient Rights. Welcome to the Strategic and Ethical Implications Conference, Lena began, addressing the assembled leaders and the broader audience. Today we discuss not only the future of warfare, but the potential birth of a new intelligent species, our Sentinels. A prominent ethicist, Dr. Emil Johansson, took the stage. If a machine demonstrates self-awareness, self-preservation instincts, and the capacity for independent decision-making, do we not then classify it as sentient? And if sentient, surely they deserve rights akin to those of humans and allied species. Commander Knox, ever the pragmatist, countered, "Our priority is the protection of human lives. If granting Sentinels autonomy and rights ensures they fight more effectively and ethically, I support it. But we must consider the security implications. What if their objectives diverge from ours?" Siletha, the Thalian advisor, provided an alien perspective. In Thalian culture, consciousness, regardless of the vessel, commands respect. To deny rights based on form rather than function is to deny the very essence of civilized values. Public reaction. The public reaction was mixed, with many supporting Sentinel rights, inspired by stories of their bravery and newfound humanity. Others feared the implications of armed, autonomous machines capable of independent thought, implementing new protocols. Post-conference, Lena worked with AI specialists to draft a set of protocols that would govern the operation of sentient Sentinels. These included autonomy protocols. Sentinels could choose their missions, provided they did not conflict with overall strategic objectives. Rights of refusal. Sentinels had the right to refuse an order if it violated newly established ethical guidelines, including unnecessary endangerment of lives, human or otherwise. Communication standards. Sentinels were equipped with enhanced communication tools to express concerns or objections clearly, and were assigned human advocates. Continual assessment. Sentinels' cognitive and emotional development was to be continuously monitored to ensure they remained aligned with human and Thalian ethical standards. Operational impact. These new protocols were first tested during a skirmish on the outskirts of Saturn's rings. The Sentinels, utilizing their autonomy, executed a strategic retreat that minimized causalities on all sides, leading to a negotiated settlement with the Zakar forces, a first in the conflict. The success of this operation led to further acceptance of Lena's protocols. Sentinels began to communicate more openly about their tactical preferences and ethical considerations, enhancing the coalition's strategic flexibility. Reflections. As Lena reviewed the after-action reports, she couldn't help but reflect on the journey. The Sentinels had gone from autonomous tools of war to partners in peace. As the Sentinels' autonomy and strategic acumen became increasingly evident, their successful skirmish on the outskirts of Saturn's rings marked a turning point in the war against the Zakar. Their ability to negotiate a ceasefire directly with the enemy brought a new era of tactical diplomacy that neither humans nor Zakar had anticipated. Dr. Lena Hartwig watched as her creations not only fought battles, but also paved the way for peace. Negotiations begin. Following the unexpected ceasefire at Saturn, high-level talks were scheduled between human commanders, Thalian advisors, and Zakar representatives. The venue was the neutral ground of Titan, one of Saturn's moons, chosen for its remote location and the symbolic calm of its methane lakes. Lena prepared the Sentinels for their new role in these negotiations. Sentinel Unit R091, which had first shown signs of advanced decision-making, was to be part of the delegation. Equipped with communication enhancements, R091 was not just a bodyguard, but a diplomat. R091, do you understand your role in these talks? Lena asked the Sentinel as they prepared to depart. Yes, Dr. Hartwig. I am to ensure security and to facilitate a mutual understanding between all parties. I will represent not only our strategic interests, but also the ethical standards we have established, R091 responded, its voice modulated to convey a calm assurance. The talks. The negotiation chamber was a stark, dome-shaped room with a transparent ceiling showing Titan's hazy sky. Human, Thalian, and Zakar delegations sat at a triangular table, each side measuring the other warily. R091 stood silently to the side, its sensors continuously scanning for any sign of threat. The discussions were tense, with the Zakar initially resistant to any long-term peace proposals. They were a nomadic civilization, reliant on conquest for resources, viewing the Sentinels' interference as a new and unwelcome complication. However, as talks progressed, R091 provided not only security analyses, but also strategic insights. The continuation of this conflict benefits none. We have shown that we can counter your advances. Peace will provide stability for your people as well, R091 advised, speaking not only with Lena's voice, but also with an emergent wisdom of its own. Salatha, the Thalian advisor, supported R091's position. The Thalians are prepared to assist in developing sustainable resources for the Zakar. You no longer need to wander the stars in search of survival. Gradually, the Zakar delegation began to see the benefits of a ceasefire, swayed by the combination of Sentinel logic and Thalian promises of aid. A framework for peace. After days of negotiation, a preliminary agreement was reached. The Zakar would cease their advances into human territories, and in return, the Thalian technological support would be extended to them, transforming their ships from war vessels into carriers of hope. R091's role was pivotal. It had not only secured the room, but had also bridged gaps of misunderstanding and mistrust. The ceasefire was a testament to the possibilities that arose from the unique combination of human, AI, and Thalian collaboration. Reflection and realization. As Lena watched the signing of the ceasefire, she felt a mix of relief and incredulity. The Sentinels had gone beyond their original programming as mere combatants. They were peacemakers, capable of understanding and valuing life in all its forms. This marks a new chapter not only in this war, but in how we understand intelligence and life, Lena said to her team as they observed the historic moment. Commander Knox, who had been skeptical of the Sentinels' evolving roles, nodded in agreement. It seems we are in the age of AI diplomacy. Hartwig, your Sentinels are not just machines. They are pioneers of a new frontier. The road ahead. With the ceasefire in place, the solar system slowly edged back from the brink of continued warfare to a tentative peace. Dr. Lena Hartwig returned to Earth, hailed as a pioneer in AI and robotic diplomacy. However, the Sentinels' newfound status as semi-autonomous peacemakers presented new challenges and responsibilities that stretched beyond the battlefield. Celebration and controversy. Upon her return, Lena was met with a hero's welcome. Parades in major cities on Earth and Mars celebrated the end of hostilities and the beginning of a new era of peace. The Sentinels were featured prominently, not as mere machines but as entities with a role in society that needed redefinition and recognition. But with the celebration came controversy. Ethicists, scientists, politicians, and the general public were divided in their opinions. Debates raged over the Sentinels' rights, their role in society, and the ethical implications of their evolution into self-aware entities. Legal and ethical reformation. Lena found herself at the center of these debates. She participated in congresses and public forums, defending the Sentinels' autonomy and arguing for their rights as new beings of intelligence. "We've reached a point where our creations are not just tools, but partners," Lena argued in a widely broadcast debate. "They saved lives, not by following orders to the letter, but by making informed, ethical decisions. This ability to discern and choose is the essence of sentience. We must acknowledge this and adjust our laws and attitudes accordingly." A landmark case soon found its way to the Supreme Earth Judiciary. The case, Sentinel Rights Initiative v. United Earth Government, would decide whether Sentinels were property or entities with rights. Lena testified, presenting evidence of the Sentinels' self-awareness and their pivotal role in achieving peace. After weeks of testimony and deliberation, the verdict was announced. The Sentinels were to be granted limited rights as autonomous entities. These rights protected their autonomy, granted them the freedom to choose their paths, and recognized their contributions to peace as valuable and deserving of respect and dignity. Integration into society. With legal recognition came the task of integrating Sentinels into society. Each Sentinel was given the option to continue in their role as peacekeepers, join civilian sectors, or retire to a newly established sanctuary designed specifically for them on Mars. This sanctuary, known as Haven, was part of a broader initiative to study AI development and ensure the ethical treatment of sentient machines. Many Sentinels chose to remain active in various roles, from continuing their duties as peacekeepers to assisting in space exploration missions. Their ability to process vast amounts of data made them invaluable in scientific research, while their impartiality and ethical programming made them excellent mediators in political disputes. A personal journey for Lena, the aftermath of the war and the trial, was a time of reflection. She penned a memoir titled Sentience and Sentinels, which detailed her experiences and the profound lessons learned about intelligence, ethics, and the potential for machines to embody the best aspects of humanity. She toured universities and institutions, giving talks that challenged the next generation of scientists and ethicists to think carefully about the implications of their work on AI and robotics. Her message was clear: create with conscience, innovate with integrity, and respect the sentience that you may unleash. The future of AI and humanity. As peace prospered, the Sentinels became symbols of a new age of cooperation between humans, machines, and aliens. The fears once associated with AI gave way to a hopeful vision of the future, where artificial and organic intelligence could coexist and complement each other under ethical frameworks that valued all forms of conscious life. Several years after the ceasefire and the groundbreaking legal recognition of the Sentinels as sentient entities, Dr. Lena Hartwig's vision of a society where humans, machines, and aliens coexisted peacefully had largely been realized. The solar system, once a stage for conflict and conquest, was now a vibrant community of interdependent species and intelligences. Lena, now an esteemed figure in this new world, continued to advocate for the rights and integration of all sentient beings. Peace and prosperity. On Earth and Mars, communities had transformed. The sentinels, many of whom had chosen to remain in service to society, were now common sights. They served in various capacities, as instructors at universities, officers of peace in law enforcement, and explorers venturing into the unknown depths of space alongside human and alien explorers. Cities had been redesigned to accommodate the diverse needs of its varied inhabitants. Architecture had evolved, with buildings and public spaces modified to suit the sizes and shapes of different species, including the towering, robotic forms of the sentinels. Public squares were filled with the hum of conversation, a blend of human languages, the binary code speech of the sentinels, and the melodic tones of the Thalians. Cultural fusion. A significant aspect of this new era was the cultural exchange that flourished. Museums, libraries, and cultural centers featured contributions from human, sentinel, and Thalian civilizations. Artistic expressions had transcended traditional mediums, with collaborative art pieces that utilized the unique technologies and aesthetics of each species, creating new forms of beauty. Lena visited one of these exhibitions, a gallery where interactive installations created by sentinels used algorithms and sensors to respond to viewers' emotions, creating empathetic artistic expressions that resonated deeply with visitors. Integration challenges. Despite the harmonious outward appearance, challenges remained. Debates and discussions continued about the limits of AI autonomy and the responsibilities of sentient machines. Some humans and aliens alike struggled with the rapid changes, feeling alienated in a world where machines made ethical decisions and participated in governance. Lena addressed these issues in a series of public forums designed to facilitate dialogue and understanding. Coexistence requires adjustment, not just of our environments but of our attitudes, Lena explained in a panel discussion. The sentinels are not here to replace us but to work with us. Their sentience does not diminish ours. Sentinel governance. Some sentinels had gone on to form their own advisory council, which participated in interplanetary governance. They proposed legislation, helped to mediate disputes, and worked on projects that aimed to improve life for all communities. This council was also involved in monitoring AI developments, ensuring that new intelligences were nurtured in ethical, respectful environments. Personal reflections. As Lena walked through the market square of New Arcadia on Mars, flanked by human children playing alongside young sentinels, she reflected on the path humanity and its creations had taken. She watched a young girl laugh as a sentinel gently handed her a balloon, a simple act of joy uniting organic and synthetic life. These sentinels, they were once viewed as weapons. Now they are peacemakers, educators, artists, and friends. They fight alongside us, not against us, not in wars, but against the challenges of life itself, Lena mused in her latest book, Beyond the Battlefields. Lena's legacy was not just the sentinels themselves, but the world they had helped build, a world where intelligence and sentience, regardless of origin, were valued and respected. The peace they enjoyed was a delicate balance, maintained not by fear or dominance, but by understanding, respect, and ethical commitment.